Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Future Friday, we're going to talk about harmful storytellers. So let's dive deep into it. Now first, before you click off, let me explain why the heck this is important. Reality is that we are not robots. Even if we want to, even if I want to, we are not robots. We are not Vulcans. We are not like live long and prosper. So what does that mean? That simply means logic does not work on us. Whether you like it or not, it just does not. And I'm reasonably sure most of you, if you really calmly look at your own life, you're like, dude, why the hell I was doing that? That was stupid. Your logical part is like, but your emotional part is like, emotions. So it's one of those things that you have to understand. We are human. So we have to work around that constraint. What does that mean? That simply means we need what we call emotional call to action. Meaning, for example, for me, that biggest call to action was Iron Man 1 movie when he was building that arc reactor. That inspired me. For many people, it was Star Trek, some novels, some stories, movies, whatever have you. There's always a pull for that pulls, unique kind of people, so to say. And these stories, it could be very meaningless, it could be a short story, but it will have life-altering implication for that reader, especially if it had resonance, meaning if it just resonated with you, you're like, dude, that book changed my life. And you may not even know it, but like once you are successful and you have done awesome things, people will ask you like, what inspired? Then your brain will remind you, it's like, bro, remember that book? It's like, whoa, that is the importance aspect of it. And you can take example of every great man, every great woman. Go YOLO on it. Okay, find whoever the heck you want to find, and outcome will be all of them will tell you that they are inspired by something. And generally science fiction would be there. Like, how important is this puppy? For example, H.G. Wells' collection is directly responsible to inspire someone to try rockets. Let that sink in. Western world got rockets, liquid fueled rockets, because of this puppy. Let's look at this lady, basically H.G. Wells, and then we have Mary Shelley. She wrote Frankenstein. Like, it's like, what is the important outcome of this puppy? Well, do you think pacemakers are important? Important. So Arthur C. Clarke, do you like IBM? So it's one of those things that you look at all of those people who have achieved amazing things. All of them will tell you, it's like, dude, I read this story. It had like awesome impact on me, like flat out. It's not even a what you call hidden part of it. It's like they will talk about, they will never shut up about it. It's like, dude, I read that. So like, whoa. It was that's like life altering. It did that. These are one of those things. People who grew up watching, like literally watching Star Trek Next Gen or original Star Trek, they will flat out will tell you, it's like, hey, I looked at like, if you have ever noticed who the heck came up with the idea of like flip phone, ask them. The answer would be generally the company that popularized that, Motorola. What did they inspired from? Like the engineer who designed it, Star Trek. So it's one of those things, whether you like it or not, science fiction is one of those things that plants seed into younglings. And those seed, with the development of science and technology, becomes a tree. Now, if you do not have the seed, science is meaningless. Science and technology will translate to nothing. It's like you have to take, I took something, you have to add imagination to it, then only it becomes something useful. You cannot take science plus science equals more science. That's not how it works. Science plus imagination, then you have something amazing. So this is a critical aspect of it, and I have tried to extract like what is the essence of it. So essence is all of these writers or whatever have you, storytellers, let's say, they always had this philosophy of humans first, meaning even if something bad comes from the outside, for example, The Day Earth Stood Still, that's an awesome novel, and the idea was like humanity, while like we are not amazing or anything like that, they always had that we can learn, we can grow, we can thrive. We always had that sort of attitude about it, like all these writers. And it was like, we are ultimately good. There are some bad actors. That was the essence of it, like the extract of it. So that's why, like, the Frankenstein is not the name of the monster. Frankenstein is the name of the scientist. And it's ironic, like, that's the whole point. Even this story is a kind of tragic irony, so to say. So we always had that sort of essence. Star Trek is specifically well known for that. Now, many times, oh, they made it very lovey-dovey. It's like, no, they did not. They literally have shows about like hardcore hate. I'm not talking a little bit hate, hardcore hate. How the heck you reconcile that? Like hardcore hatred of each other. Like, how do you balance a war? Like, how do you do those things? Those are there. You have to just look at it. And it's like there are some basically episodes that are so ingrained. Like people teach that in ethics class. That's how ingrained this puppy is. So flat out, it's very important. If you think it's not, I'm sorry. So the reason why I get so worked up about this is like one of my favorite TV show right now is The Expanse. Now I love this show. Let me be very clear. I love this show. However, it still suffers from that stupidity of either writers flat out being limited in their mindset, limited in their basically imagination, or flat out ill-educated. Basically, they are educated in the wrong way. For example, in this show, the idea is Earth is overpopulated. How the heck that happened? Anybody who knows humans population knows this one thing for a fact. Humans are not algae, we are not virus, we are not bacteria, we are not like we drop one thing or we grow. That's not how it works. We say we reproduce like bunnies, we do not. Like, not even close. And the reason why most people fall for that stupid trick is because you have been conditioned to. Thousands of people keep yelling that. How long we have been yelling that? Like the first person, like everybody thinks like they are so smart when they talk about it. It's like Malthusian catastrophe. It's like the dude was in 1790s, I think, 1790. And the mathematics he came up with was so fundamentally messed up wrong, is that you take that dude, make a time machine, find that dude, tell him that there is a country known as India, there is a country known as China, and this small place in Earth's surface area, small place, has 3 billion people. They're like, dude, that's not possible. Earth cannot feed 3 billion people, let alone a small area, but we are doing it. How the heck that's possible? That's the whole point. We had 2 centuries of data from complete 1800, complete 1900, and we know for a fact that data is completely garbage. Populations only grow when it can grow. Like, why does India has 1.5 billion? Because we can support it. Why does China has 1.5 billion? Because it can support it. Why does sub-Saharan Africa does not have that kind of population? Because it cannot support it. You never just randomly have population which is like, voila. It's like, why the heck Alaska does not have population? Have you seen its temperature? Not really comfortable. So it's one of those things, like population does not magically just grow. And then we come to another aspect here. The ill-informed people always look at population as a big number. It's like 1.5 billion. That number means nothing. That's zero. Nothing. Throw that away. Look at this puppy, which we call population pyramid, if you want to Google that. Now, this pyramid is a very good mathematical structure. It shows you where everybody is in your population. Now, why does this matter? This shows life and death. This axis is death, this axis is birth, this is death. Why does this matter? Because of the shape, it can teach you everything. If the shape is like this, that's what we call expanding population. Population is growing. If the shape is like this is what we call stable population. It will be a little bit tilted on top because again, death will be there. So it will be tilted like this, but this is what we call stable population. That's awesome. If you have something like this, basically China's current situation where this is smaller than this part, that is what we call collapsing population. All countries, there are 200 countries on this planet, almost 150 countries are in collapsing mode. So where the heck the population came from? Like 150 countries, all of them. Like this is Germany collapsing, whole of Europe collapsing, India collapsing. Like here's the deal. And this collapsing is not something like a little bit it will cause reduction. No, it's extermination. How the heck we know? Ask any biologist what happens if you drop the number between 2.1. 2.1 per woman must have 2.1 child. 1.1 child simply means majority of women should have 2, some should have 3, simply because few of them will have accidents, few of them will be incapable of conceiving. So 3, some, majority 2. That's a requirement for stable population. I'm not talking about growth. I'm not talking about like, becoming better. No. That's must. Otherwise, you will literally create a scenario where you'll have very few children who will not be able to take care of their grandparents. Parents will be so far few and between that they will not be able to take care of their grandparents. China is going through this phase right now. Japan is going through this phase right now. Basically, North Korea, I'm saying. South Korea is going through this right now. Entirety of data is like, bro, we are not exploding, we are dying, and this Earth is overpopulated. How the heck that happened? And this novel is kind of recent. It's like all this data that I'm talking about, it was already there. So then how the heck people make that mistake? Again, somebody in 1700 came up with that idea and nobody double checked it. It's like that virus is just not dying. Everybody's like, overpopulation. It's like, it's not a problem. And be mindful, when you fire a rocket, it goes up. You turn off the engine, it will not magically fall down. It will still go up for a certain while. Of course, like for example, how basically New Glenn does that. Not New Glenn, basically New Shepard does that. Shepard rocket goes up, it turns off the engine, it still goes up. It still goes to apogee, goes to 0G, and then falls. So same thing is happening with population. We already know that populations have collapsed. China knows this. Japan knows this. So we already know that the populations have collapsed, but it will take time to show up because again, we live for much longer time. Our lifespan is 90 years, our generation is 30 years. So it does take time. So that's the issue. Earth is overpopulated. That fundamentally, mathematically is not true. Then Earth is hell. Okay, Earth is hell. How the heck Earth can be hell if you have fusion? Like they have fusion. Fusion is so cheap in the universe of Expanse that Belter Ladder, like they have 3 ecosystems, Martian, Earther, and Belters. Belters are like asteroid belt people, very weak, very poor, and all that jazz. That is another aspect. Is like, why the heck people are there in the first place? People only go to place, only try to settle some place if there is possibility. If there is no possibility, and that's why I'm saying, like, how many passports do you think India is giving out for going to America? A lot. How many passports do you think India is giving out to go to sub-Saharan Africa? Zero. That's the whole point. Nobody goes to a place where it's like, oh, that's a hell place. That's awesome. Nobody does that. That's why I find it odd. It's like population is not something like, a fungus that you drop to population. That's not how it works. Once people see like how miserable their condition is, they're like, bye. I do not need to be there. Like, at least Martian, I get it, because again, these were hardy people, these were best of the best, best and the brightest, and kind of makes sense. If you are fed up with Earth's ecosystem, you may be like, hey, I want to a fresh start. And again, it has some tangible benefits, so people did that, so it made sense. But Belter never made sense. And Belter had like low air and water. It's like, did humanity forget to do recycling? Because again, we recycle basically ISS water, and we are very good at it. Somehow Beltalor is running low on air and water, nobody would be there. If that even happens once, people are like, dude, I am not going there. And second, even though the writer is very young, so to say, as in like not 150 years old, it's like, how the heck he does not understand? People will automate those things. Like, we automate mining today on Earth. Future, we will not have send people on basically biosuits to like do things. It does not make sense. And fusion is like so cheap that rich people have yachts. Those can just use fusion reactor and just go to orbit. Single stage to orbit. What does that mean? That simply means you have so much power, you can filter out the whole ocean as a side project. I'm talking about like every government has like X amount of budget that is spent on taking care of things. Every country does that. Take that money, build a fusion reactor next to a sea, and just keep pumping water. Just keep pumping water. Like freaking reverse osmosis is the whole whole ocean, and you can make it completely clear, completely distilled water if you want to. That's how good you will be able to do if you have fusion reactors. We don't. It's like they have fusion reactors like yachts, racing and all that, and they still have Earth is hell. This creates a very serious problem. It's like, if you have energy and matter, that means majority of problem would be solved. And that's why I liked basically Star Trek universe, where it's like, dude, we have energy, we have time, we have matter. The end, problem solved. Majority of problems are, of course, different kind of problem would be there. Hatred would be there. That's a different problem. But it won't be like, overpopulation, this, that. It's like, that's just wrong. That's why I hate this sort of system. And again, another aspect, I genuinely hate the idea, like, who came up with the idea that you're going to use railgun in space? Did they do not, it's like literally looks like they studied the Naval Academy's database on railguns, and they're like, this looks cool, they're going to use it in space. And nobody told them, it's like, bro, metal on metal contact on space is dangerous. It welds itself. What happens if you ever watched any slow motion video of basically rail cannon, that is real life, real firing, you'll always see there is a plasma plume, like a big boom happening. Why the heck that boom is happening? Because if they did not, it will weld itself. So they need a hydrogen charge, firing it, that gets plasmarized, and that gives that initial jolt. After that initial jolt, magnetic field takes over. Why would you use that in space? It's like welding is a problem on Earth. On space, it's auto-magical welding, which we call basically electron jumping from one metal to another, and it's like perfect welding. You cannot break that puppy up. Why would you use that? It's like, and yeah, it's a bit more efficient compared to coil guns, but coil guns are stealth. It will not create a flash so your opponents can see, especially when you're talking about long distance. Why would you want to give them a flash? Hey, I fired something. So their radars can lock on you. It's like, at least this is the attack cone. I'm going to move out of here. Why? This is one of those things, like somebody read a lot of detail about railguns, but they forgot to calculate the data of space. But it's little thing. So this is why I hate this sort of ideas. Like, you have all the problem solving tools, but nobody able to solve it. Then we come to Avatar. Now, to be fair, when, credit where credit is due, they realized they were smoking too much weed on the first Avatar. They were like, yeah, that does not make sense. That the fact room temperature superconductor would be expensive, it won't be. Because if it's expensive, it's useless. Like, why? Well, think of it this way. What can you do with a room temperature superconductor? You can make a cheaper MRI machine. But you can't make a cheaper MRI machine if your superconductor is hyper expensive. So right now, superconductor that is used in MRI machines, they have X amount of cost. Now, you are buying something that is from a different solar system. It's going to be freaking idiotically expensive. And once you have that, it would be like, for the price of the material, let alone the energy cost, just for the price of the material, I can build 5 MRI machines, run them for 10 years, and have return on investment on all of them. Or I could buy one that does not require liquid helium. Take a guess what will happen. That's one of those things that people are like, economic. It's like nothing is expensive if you produce too much of it. It's like Elon Musk's first rocket, SpaceX first reusable rocket, they were far more expensive than normal conventional rocket. Yes, that's normal. That's to be expected. It was prototype. But once they started to nail down the technology, it started to become cheaper. And it's supposed to be like, first car is expensive, then the next car becomes cheaper, next model becomes even cheaper. That's how it goes. So if superconductor is not coming down in price, people will be like, okay, what's the point? It's like, yeah, I can burn less fuel to get more energy using superconductor, or I can use the same amount of money that I will give you to just increase my profit. And be mindful, we have superconductors right now, we use them. There are actual transmission lines that are running on superconductors. If you have a variable that is like, I'm gonna bring like, $20 million per kilo from there, it's like, nah, not worth it. Not to mention, there is one engineer, like a group of engineers working on warm temperatures MRI machines. That's super awesome, because once we have that, that helium loophole will be thrown away and we're gonna have cheap nitrogen. That's awesome. That's why they realize that superconductor sounds cool to dumb people, but people who understand economics, they're like, dude, no, nobody's gonna use it. It's cool and fun, but nobody's gonna use it. So this time they have Amrit. Now, if you know Sanskrit, you know Amrit means a liquid that gives you life. So basically that makes you immortal, so to say. So that's what they were extracting from the whale. And if you are an Indian and you somehow did not understand that they were saying Amrit, yes, I understand their accent makes it very complicated to understand what they were saying. Amrita. It's like, Senorita, are you saying? It's like, it's Amrit. Amrit is a Sanskrit word. So that yellow liquid that you see they're drilling, that's Amrit. Now, can it be that valuable? Actually, yes. Why? What is the one thing money cannot buy? Time. What does that Amrit buys you? Time. Basically, it stops aging, meaning you start taking it by the time you are 50, you'll be stuck in 50 years old for hundreds of years. So that's like, shut up, take money. So I do get that part. So I do respect that part, that they smoked enough weed, but they're like, it really does not make sense, especially when humanity has basically what we call, we also have room temperature superconductor, just so you know, but it's high pressure, basically sulfide gas, SF6 gas that we use for insulation. If we put it super duper hyper pressure, it does become room temperatures. Basically, it's not standard 15 psi, it needs to be bonkersly high psi, but it can be done. So if you can make super strong pipes, you can have superconductor inside it without a room temperature one. So that's why I said, like, superconductor sounds cool, but it's, from an economics point of view, it's like, no. Amrit does make sense, but how many hyper rich people are there on Earth that they can afford that? But that's cool. So planet, this is how the movie starts. Earth is dying, Earth is overpopulated, Earth is dying. How and why? That's my first question. How and why? When you have antimatter reactor, Expanse has normal fusion reactor, which is exponentially more powerful than fission reactor. These people have antimatter reactor. That makes fusion reactor look like bitch please. How the heck you have a problem? Again, I'm genuinely curious. Like, first population, same thing. It's like, people just, people. That's not how it happens. Like, no country on this planet, there is 200 country. You can look at data of all of them. No country is like, children, people, population. It's like, how the heck that happened? And Earth is dying. Why? You have this technology, like rods from gods. You have that level of technology, like, and how the ship is accelerating. This is not how they accelerate. How they accelerate is they have a sail. That sail is super huge, like I think 12 kilometers in the lore they have that, and they fire laser on it, and that's how they accelerate it. That laser somehow has enough oomph to accelerate this puppy to around a few percent of light speed, and not even few, I think almost seriously close to light speed, and it accelerates them at 1.5 G for year. That's bonkersly large amount of power. How much power? You take solar's annual output, it's higher than that. Do you mean more than sun? No, hell no. Basically, sun has X amount of energy dumping onto Earth. It's more than that. Basically, if you take diameter of Earth, you take a circle out of there, you put that circle on the sun, how much energy is coming out of there? You are creating more energy than that. So that's what it will take to accelerate these things. And in the second part, they have multiple ships. Like in the original lore, there was like, they're gonna have 12 ships that are circling around. And here it's like, I think they literally showed 18 ships landing. Like the landing partner was 18 ships. So if you have that kind of power, genuinely I'm curious, like what is the issue that is killing Earth? Like I'm genuinely curious. If you have that level of magical power, what is the issue? Like ship alone is like, bro, all of humanity's problem solved. Like you have this, just fire, take this puppy. And they also have open air metal 3D printer. This is magical technology. Like this is freaking magic. And they have robots that can build buildings in 6 days. Like we are 3D printing buildings and they are not that fast. This puppy is like, bro, I got this. Concrete structure, bro. Solid bunker structure. 6 days, go home. What is the problem that you are unable to solve? And not to mention, you also have superconductors, room temperature one. So what is the problem that you are unable to solve? I'm genuinely curious. Like, what is the problem? Like, if you have this sort of energy, you can dig down on Earth, create a greenhouse there, artificially light them, create all the food for the planet. And nobody would even notice it. Nobody would need the surface area at that point. And you're like, what if we're going to run out of phosphor? You have this sort of energy. You have antimatter particle accelerators. Yeah, you can make phosphors. So it's one of those things. It's like, you have this, you have this, you have this. What problem is on Earth that you cannot solve? And this is one thing that Neil deGrasse Tyson is very precise about. Is like, if you have technology to terraform any planet, let's say Mars, Venus, Moon, or Pandora, it's much easier. Like, let's say that is X, you have to have 1/10 of that power. On Earth, you can fix it. Like, you can revert back Earth, all the damage we did on Earth very easily. Child's play, take it and go home. And if you have this sort of energy, flat out, Mars and Venus terraforming would be like child's play. Like, Elon Musk keeps talking about, like, we have to nuke the poles. Have this puppy land there. Just landing. Just go there, burn fuel as long as they can, and then just leave out, refuel, burn it again. Few minutes, they will be like, bro, whole planet will have much higher CO2 concentration. Go to Venus, that solar sail they have, put that solar sail in a freaking Lagrange point, start, slowing down the solar radiation going to Venus, start firing these puppies into Venus atmosphere. So you cook off Venus atmosphere, reduce the CO2 there by cooking it up. Basically, you're boiling it off away. And voila, you have 2 planets. Instead of going to Pandora, just save 2 planets. But no, Earth is dying. That's like, somehow all these writers get orgasm every time they say the Earth is dying. It's like, Earth is hell. It's like, you live here. It's awesome. It's like, but no, Earth is dying. It's like, you have magic technology, Earth is dying. You have magic printers, Earth is dying. Then we come to another, like, those two are big daddies. This is small daddy, the Adam project. And even it has that. Like, what they have is the ship, okay? The ship is like not that much bigger compared to a normal fighter jet. You can say that it's not super huge. It has portable nuclear reactor, fusion reactor, not fission, fusion reactor. And how much oomph this puppy have? This puppy have enough power for single stage to orbit, meaning it can just take off, go to orbit. That's how much powerful these things are. Meaning somehow they have radiation shielding that is so good, so lightweight that you can put on an aircraft and aircraft is still able to fly. Why the heck you have a problem where your future is polluted? Like, I'm genuinely curious, like, what can humanity do to pollute after this? Like, what can you, like, you actually have to work your ass off. It's like, how the heck we make pollution right now? Like, what's the reality of pollution? We do not have enough energy. Like, many times we create contaminants because it reduces it. Basically, it reduces the energy requirement, but creates chemical contaminants. Basically, catalyst, we add catalyst, but it makes the reaction toxic, but it does reduce energy requirement. Like, why our glasses are like so fragile? It's not pure crystal glass. Pure crystal glass is super duper expensive. We have to add what we call soda lime into that to reduce its melting point. But if we have energy, all our glass would be exponentially stronger if we had cheap energy. This has cheap energy. It has small, compact, cheap energy. It has freaking lightsabers in it. It's like the amount of energy that stick will consume, you can power households with that. Like, think of it this way. Like, this is what they are showing, that a human body is minimum 100 kilograms, 100 and 120 kilograms with all the tactical gear and all that. And they just fire something to it and that body goes poof. Think about E equal to mc square, how much energy that would require? A lot. And this is what I'm saying, like, Earth in future, they have time travel. They have freaking time travel and they still have problem. Is that Earth in future is dying. Why? You not only have time travel, you have portable nuclear reactors. What exactly is the problem that you are not able to solve? I'm genuinely curious. What is the problem? And this is one of those things. It's like, every time this sort of story is written and somehow they show that entirety of humanity is evil, 1 or 2 people are there that are like, we're gonna save it. It's like, this is one of those things. Even in Mortal Kombat, one of the recent remakes, they had like a weed session there where good and evil, they are 2 sides. Okay. Evil bribes the good. It's like, we're going to give you a lot of money. It's like, bro, if evil wins, the planet will be burnt. Where would you spend your money? So it's one of those things, like, in every story is like the evil person, evil empire. Is like, nobody has a consciousness. Nobody has anything where it's like, hey, I live here, how about I'm not putting radiation into my own atmosphere? How about that? How about contaminating the only goddamn planet I live in? How about that? But no. It's like has to be one, and this makes people jaded. Even if they do not know, even if your story is positive, people will become jaded out of it and they won't even know why. That's why I fundamentally hate this sort of poor storytelling where it's like, we have all the tools to solve all our problems, but we are unable to solve it. What the hell? So this is what we call slow poison. What does that mean? That simply means if things are shown hopeless again and again, meaning you watch one movie, it's hopeless, watch another movie, it's hopeless, watch another movie after that, it's hopeless, you won't even know, especially the young adult, they will believe it as gospel. And you can see that, like this was one comment in my Hindi channel, it scared me. I was talking about like Delhi air pollution, and it's causing like a lot of mortality in Delhi. It's like, it's bad. So a lot of people are working their ass off to reduce it. Obviously, human thing to do. And this kid, I'm not joking, flat out wrote, more people should poof. That will reduce population. I'm like, what? And why the heck this happened? Because we had a retarded idea that we are teaching children from childhood. It's like overpopulation, overpopulation, overpopulation. It's like, dude, population is an adaptive matrix. It only adapts if there is space. If there is no space, nobody adapts. It's like, we had history data to prove it, that our population never grew, even though we were having 7 to 8 children or even 10 children. That was the normal. Why the heck population was not growing? It could not sustain it. Right now, why the heck our population grew? Because we could sustain it. Why the heck population reached a stagnation point and collapsing again? Because we reached a point where it was like good enough. So this sort of bad seed plantation, like how H.G. Wells, they planted good seeds. These people are planting bad seeds, and you don't even know young adults are reading like that. Like their thought process is like, Earth is doomed, this is that, and this happened. This freaked me out. I thought this is a rare event, like once in a million. I'm like, I was so blind. Save the planet, boom yourself. What the hell? Like this is happening, and what does that create? That creates a scenario where instead of solving problem, people start to run away. It's like, we're gonna go and colonize Mars. It's like, how about take care of Earth? It's easier, cheaper, my friend. It's cheaper, just cheaper. Take care of it. It's cheaper. And it happens on subconscious layer. That's why the danger aspect happens in the story part. It's subconscious. You won't even know why you are thinking like that. Like so many people, it's like the Malthusian catastrophe. Dude, that mathematics is so wrong. If you make a time machine, go to him, ask him that there will be a small patch of Earth that has India and China. It will be able to support 3 billion people. He'll be like, dude, Earth cannot support 3. He will be so confident. Everybody will be so confident that that cannot happen. And somehow we did it. It's past tense to us. It's like, bruh, we did it. And given the technology that we have right now, and given the technology that are under construction right now, we can easily see 5 to 10 billion people more, and nobody will even notice. Of course, there's an upper limit, but that upper limit is thermal limit. How much thermal energy Earth can manage. That's still multiple billions. Like a lot of billions. Like billions of billions. Like Donald Trump kind of billions. Like a lot of billions. Don't even worry about it. Kind of billions. But if you subconsciously implant that idea, like this sort of lines, I'm kind of misanthropic, I hate humanity, is like, how the heck that became cool? How the heck that misanthropy, like, man-hating, or like not even man-hating, like humanity-hating became such a, prevalent thing? Because it has a serious problem. It spreads without checks, because there is no hope. So there is no check and balance to it. And hate creates more hate. So basically you have hate, like you write this, and people who are neutral, they will become anti of you because of you. Like your action will create antithesis. Action equals reaction. Your hate creates even more hate, and things that are solvable becomes unsolvable. It creates more harm. And that's why I specified this is a slow poison, like smoking. Smoking cigarette one time will not do anything to you, but do it long enough, one day nature will say, bitch please. Then your doctor is going to tell you, bitch please. And then your health insurance is like, I'm not covering that. So it's one of those things. It's a slow poison. It's scary. It's horrifying to me that children are writing that to me. It's like, people should die. Like when I talked about population collapse, everybody is like, yeah, that's awesome. I'm like, what the hell? But it used to freak me out. It's like, how the heck that happened? Then I realized people who came long before me, people who made life better, made things more awesome, they were like, feeding much, they were absorbing much higher quality stories. What we are absorbing is like, human bad. Like freaking what weed Cameron was smoking, whereas like 2 species can communicate. That's not possible. Like communicate as in like dog and human, that's under like, oh, we're gonna have a proper talks and we're gonna have emotional series. Like, bro, too much weed, man. Too much weed. Like too much. Just lay it off. That was like, and I'm at least happy with the reviewer crowd. Even they were like, bro, you went a bit much. A bit much. Come on, a bit much. So this is dangerous. This sort of slow poisonous. We won't even know it. That's the hard aspect of it. This is like subconscious layer. You won't even know why you can't solve a problem because it's been taught to you, and you don't even know that you are thinking that way. It's scary. So this was my presentation on basically bad storytellers and their dangers to us. Hopefully you have liked it, learned from it. In that case, please click the like button, share it amongst your friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike. Press it twice to show me extra support. Please leave a comment because I do try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free, and as always, thanks for watching.